Welcome everyone. Today I wanted to show you the three Rook Endgame positions and how we will defend it. So let's get started. So this is the first position and you will see that this pawn is going to promote, right? And opponent rook is in the front, okay? And your rook is in the back. One thing you have to remember as a thumb rule, that when you are pushing the pawn on with the help of a rook, okay, you have to give the defense from the back, not from the front, okay? Because just imagine if this white rook is on the back, it's so simple, right? And nobody can stop it. That pawn, you just have to push, right? So this is the best way. Now second, I will just say for the rank wise, you can say that is a second best, but this one is really, it's a tougher one, okay? Now if this position comes over on your game, and as you can see that opponent has two pawns, so this position is a draw, you remember, okay? Of course it looks like it's winning, right? That opponent has two pawns, like it's a dead loss for us. Okay, we are playing with the black pieces, it's a dead loss. No, it's a draw. Now the point is how you have to hold a draw, and the prime thing is the placement of this pawn over here. This is a rook draw, right? So if the rook pawn, this position is white to play or black to play, it does not matter. It's simple, it's a draw. Imagine if the opponent just pushed the pawn, okay, and you don't need to do anything, you just move your king, pawn push, you just move your king. Over here your opponent can play pawn here. Now if you capture the pawn, okay, that is king takes, over here now this is winning for white, because white just comes on a rook to h8, it comes with a check, and after the king moves anywhere he will just promote it. Now what we have to do, we just play the move king to h7 and just stop it. Now opponent king will play probably king moves, so you will just play the move, maybe anything, like you can give the check, okay, but maintain the file, okay? Don't move away from the file, because if you will move away from the file, then opponent can move his rook, okay, and promote it. So just maintain the file so the opponent rook cannot go away from it. If he will go away, you will simply capture the pawn. Just example, we just push and push and king here. Now the point is, now he can just move his rook somewhere else, because now he can just promote the pawn. Now what he will do, it starts checking, because your rook is very far away from the opponent's king. You just give the check, king a6, okay, just give the check, king to b6, you can just give the check. And when the opponent king will move away, for example check, he moves, and now you can just come back, okay? One more point, if opponent king decide to attack on a rook, just imagine he just attacked the rook, then you can just move up, and when the king will proceed back, once again you will just move back, and whenever the opponent king just touch the pawn, simple, remember, whenever the opponent's king touch the pawn, we will just give the check from the longer side, okay? Longer side, we will just give the check and it will be a draw, okay? Next position we will see, and in that position what I will do, I will just shift this pawn and a king to the g5 and f1. Okay, let's just flip the board. Okay. Now as you can see, in the previous question the pawn is a rook pawn, okay, and this is a knight pawn. Okay, as you can see, once again this position is draw. How is it? See, simple, just pawn push. Imagine maybe you can just play the king, never ever play the move f7, okay? I will come to that point later on. h7, move here, king move, and pawn. Now black cannot take the pawn because rook to g8, it's a check, and when the king will move away, he will just promote the pawn to a queen, because rook moves is coming with a check. what we have to do now, the same pattern, you just move your rook, that's it. Your opponent will play, okay, just move the rook, no problem. Just move the rook, but maintain that file. Don't move your rook away from it, because then the opponent rook maybe can go for the check. Okay, for example, you just played the move rook to b1, example. Then he can play with a check. Rook to g8, it comes with a check, and he will just promote it. Okay, so there's a tactics is there. So that's why just keep the rook. So whenever opponent's rook will move away, you will just capture the pawn. That's it. Now you will just move the rook. Just move the rook. Just move the rook. No need to worry about it. Just move the rook. And as I told to you, whenever opponent's king touch the pawn, now you start giving a check. Check. She's still in a touch, right? I mean, he's in a touch, right? King, male. Okay, so still is a check. Check. And when he moves away, you can give the check, like, okay, and it's fine. And then you can just move it back. Then you can just move it. So this is a point. Once again, it's a draw. Now I will shift the pawn to the bishop file. Now as you can see, this pawn is on the bishop file. So we already seen that rook file, it is draw. Knight file, it is draw. Now let's talk about the bishop file. The same if the position is the mirror one. Okay, if the whole rook and the pawn, they move to the h1, h file basically, and the other pawns, if you just see, like for example from on a a2 or a b2, these are all draws. But this one is a win. Why? Because over here again white will just play the move check, move here, move. Now here's a check. As I said that if the king will capture, then the rook will move here, check, and he will promote the pawn into a fool. And if you will hold over here, now the move comes over here is rook to h8. The point is now he wants to promote it, and if rook takes a7, then rook to h7, it's a skewer, and when the king will move, example the king capture the another pawn also, still the rook will just capture, so it is win. Okay, so simple logic. Just remember, if the rook file is common, right? It's a rook file, and you have to, first of all, you have to hold the pawn from the back. Okay, and if you are on the promotion side, that you have the pawn and you have wanted to promote it, so try to place your rook behind the pawn. And the another thing is, if the two pawns you have, okay, and rook file is a draw, knight file is a draw, bishop file is a win, queen file is a win, king file is a win, and another again the bishop side it comes again, it is a win, and rest of the knight again and the rook, it was a draw. And I will show it to you the other type of positions also, which is based on this one. So these positions, these three positions are, you can say, like a foundational positions, which will help you to understand that is this particular position, can I hold for the draw, is it winning, based on these three positions. Okay, I hope you understand this one, and thank you so much for watching.